What's good, ladies and gents? Welcome to the MKO Pugilism Boxing channel, where we talk all things boxing. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, put it on all so you get notified of all latest content as and when it drops on the channel. So let's get into this one. So recently, there's been a bit of a back and forth, just a one-time back and forth between the Big John Fury and Carl the Cobra Froch. The reason for this back and forth is down to criticism of Tyson Fury by Carl the Cobra Froch, and John Fury being asked about this criticism in an interview and his explosive response. And then Carl Froch, of course, has a right of reply, and he replied to John Fury. So let's go through this thing chronologically, should I say. So initially, this is John Fury sitting down in an interview. I think it was Seconds Out or one of these media outlets. And they're interviewing him about Tyson Fury, his preparation. So they ask him about that, nice softball questions and reasonable stuff. And where the interview takes a turn and where it gets entertaining for the viewers is when John Fury is asked about Carl Froch's criticism of his son, of Tyson Fury. As lately, a lot of people piped up about Tyson Fury. A lot of people have been really looking at Fury's career objectively, questioning some of his wins, stuff like that. People are becoming, I think the bubble, around Tyson Fury has kind of burst at this point. People are seeing that this guy, he's fallible, he's hittable, he looks beatable. And a lot of people are seeing that. A lot of people that were firmly picking Fury, I think a lot of those people now are going to be picking Usyk, because of the Ngannou fight and stuff like that. And they're starting to see a bit of vulnerability, wear and tear in Fury. So Carl Froch, John Fury was asked about Carl Froch's criticism. Carl Froch criticized Fury for kind of having a thin resume. He mentioned that the win over Vladimir Klitschko was very boring. He beat Vladimir Klitschko. Klitschko was 40 years old at the time, and it was a stinker. And I for one, I do agree with that. But I would also say at the same time, although it was a stinker, it wasn't an entertaining fight. It was a fantastic achievement. The achievement of beating Klitschko at that time, where it's nearly a 10-year run, ending that Klitschko streak, is a fantastic achievement. It's a great achievement because no one else that went over there to fight Klitschko, no Americans, Brit, whoever, no one else was able to go there prior to Tyson Fury and beat him over that 9-10 year period. So it's a great achievement, but as Froch said, he has his right. It's a boring fight. It's a stinker. He then went on to talk about Deontay Wilder and his criticism. They asked John Fury about it, and he said, yeah, he's fought Wilder 3 times, beat the same guy 3 times. And he was Froch was kind of a bit dismissive of the Wilder wins. And, I think he mentioned that the sort of decline of Fury after the second fight, stuff like that. So he was critical of it, basically about the Fury's resume not being all that sort of full and having gaps. And, he's only had about, I think he was saying about 4 or so world title fights or fights against world champions, etc. So that's what Froch said. He was just critical of the resume of Tyson Fury. John Fury, when asked about that, just went into one of his big rants, saying, Carl Froch, he should just kiss my son's ass. He's not worthy to talk about my son. He's doing it because he's jealous of Tyson. He's jealous of Tyson. He wants what Tyson's got. He's just a has-been. When I see him, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take him out. I'm going to knock him out. I'm going to kick his head in. I'm going to do this. And he just went into one of his explosive rants where he threatens you and he's threatening Carl Froch to do this, to do that. And Carl Froch is irrelevant. He's a has-been. And I'm going to have him when I see him. And the usual John Fury stuff. So he went a bit crazy there. But then Carl Froch, this is where for me Carl Froch kind of wins the argument. He comes back on his own channel, Froch on Fighting, which is it's a good channel. You get to hear Carl Froch's opinion. If you liked him as a fighter and if you appreciate him as a fighter, then it's definitely a good one to look up. He's got a decent analysis of what's going on, and he just calls it down the middle. So he went on his channel to answer the criticisms of John Fury. And one of the first things he said was, "John, you're just talking, John." He said, "You are gonna shake my hand when you see me." He said, "I look forward to seeing you. You ain't gonna come up to me and do nothing. What you're gonna come up to me and do is shake my hand, and I look forward to it. Let's be men. Come to me, shake my hand. We can have a pint or whatever it was," he said, "and we can talk." He then went on to say, "Look, John, the big fighting man, you call yourself a fighting man, but there's a certain other man that everyone knows about called Mickey Theo, who you did not want to smoke with." And just to take you guys back, Mickey Theo was a guy that called out John Fury because John Fury came online and said that, "Look, I'm the fittest and I'm the best 50-odd-year-old man. There's no 50-odd-year-old man out there in the world that can beat me. I want to fight Mike Tyson, this, that, and the other." So Mickey Theo piped up and said, he showed a bit of training footage of himself. He looks quite useful in his sparring. And Mickey Theo, he piped up and said, "Well, I'll tell you what, John, I'm a 50-odd-year-old man. I'm interested in doing this. Why don't we do this?" I think he was saying for charity. But he was saying to John Fury, "Look, I will fight you. I'll have to fight for you. I'm a 50-odd-year-old man. I think you're wrong. You ain't the hardest 50-year-old man. I will fight you." And when he said that, John Fury went into some crazy rant, calling him the Chapter Malik pig and blah, 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 saying that, "Oh, you're just a pig, you're just a nobody. I don't know you, I don't want to know you." He went on to say, "Come and fight me in Billy Joe Saunders' backyard, and we'll have a fair fight in Billy Joe Saunders, who's my mate's backyard. And that's where we're going to have a fight." And Mickey feels like, "No, I want to have a boxing match with you, like what you said." And John Fury goes, "No, it's all in. It's an all-in fight. We're going to have bare knuckle. We're going to have weapons allowed, this, that, and the other." So he seemed to make every excuse in the book when he was called out on what he said about being the toughest 50-year-old man. So Carl Froch went on and he called him out and I said, "Look, you're just all talk. When it comes down to it, you didn't want to fight Mickey Theo. You didn't want to smoke with other people, and apparently there was a campaign by Porky in Manchester where they were putting out posters saying, John Fury, come and fight Mickey Theo for charity." And as we all know, anyone knows about the story, John Fury didn't want it, and the fight never happened. So a lot of people are not convinced by John Fury's tough man routine, and Carl Froch certainly isn't one of them. So Froch goes on, and he just provides devastating arguments there where he says, "Look, Tyson Fury, his career, I've got a right to have my opinion. You guys, you call yourselves fighting men, but you've got very thin skin." He goes on to say, which is a big point, because he goes on to say, "Look, you guys, you banned Talk Sport from your fights. And all Talk Sport did was they criticized you versus Ngannou. They criticized you a bit, and you couldn't handle the criticism. So now you're banning media outlets from your fights because you can't take criticism. You're supposed to be a fighting man, but you've got very thin skin." And that is a very valid criticism for me, because you see that a lot with certain even with certain things when it comes to politics, where the idea is, if you can't win the argument, you just shut the other person down, you shut the other side down, you don't let them talk, you cancel them, etc., etc. It happens with comedians and all sorts of people nowadays, where there's this over sensitivity when it comes to speaking the truth. It's like people just can't handle criticism. And that's how the Furies are a lot of the time. And Froch also went on to say that, look, You call me a has-been. So what about all the other fighters, Durans, Leonards, all these other Hall of Famers like myself? I'm a Hall of Famer. That's what Froch was saying. He's a Hall of Famer for a reason. He said, so are you saying that all these guys, because they're retired, all these all-time greats, that they can't have an opinion, that they're all has-beens, that what they say doesn't count when they've had great careers and they're in the Hall of Fame and they've done everything there is to do in boxing? You're saying their opinion don't count? And for me, that struck home. And he also said that, look at my career, look at my CV if you want to call me S House and blah, blah, blah. I've had 11 world title fights against all world champions. How many have you had? You've had about 4 world title fights or whatever, or 4 fights against world champions. And that is true. And that's a devastating thing, what Froch said there, because it's the truth. Say what you will about him, like him or don't like him. He's right that when you compare their careers, Froch has had so many fights at the top level, back to back fights against top guys. So you can't really, whether you think he's great or not, you can't really diss him about that or being a has been, because he's fought everybody there was to fight. So yeah, good arguments by Carl Froch. And he told John Fury to pipe down. And I for one, when it comes to this, I think, Carl Froch makes the far more valid points here, because he just speaks the truth. He says, you've got a thin resume, you haven't had many world title fights, you're calling yourself the greatest. I've got a right to speak on you. I'm a Hall of Famer, and I've had many world title fights. You really haven't had that many. You got the 40-year-old Vladimir Klitschko and Deontay Wilder, and that's what you're holding on to as your whole thing. So yeah, I get where Froch is coming from, and yeah, good arguments from him. Let me know what you thought about this, John Fury's rant and Carl Froch's response in the comments section below. And until next time, it's MKO Pugilism over and out. Catch you next time.